ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. Yes, I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and welcome to the last day of March, Tuesday, Midday Market Report, baseball show, the odds couple, whatever you want to call us. We were going to go at 3 o'clock today. Life gets busy, yada, yada, yada. Had a cancellation. Reached out to Scott. Why not? Let's play it back today at 1:30 versus 3. Give you guys some more chances to do whatever you need to do throughout the rest of the day and get your action in early. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. Take a look at wagerwire.com/marketplace. A lot of tickets for sale there. Some good opportunities to buy low and potentially sell high as some of these legs get closer and closer. Any questions, comments, concerns? You can always reach me at EC Sports Invest. I'll answer all those questions. Tomorrow we look to debut the new look, the ECSI meets Wall Street, maybe some morning, afternoon, and definitely evening shows talking about the market, talking sports in CNBC style, so we're excited for that. Also, the debut of our ECSI journal. It's our sports journal there. Again, sports, wagering, investing, the marketplace. If you want to get in for $1 a day, you can go to our website at eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. There's memberships right up there. You can sign up for a month, or we have a great deal going. Buy 3 months, get the 4th month free. So a great way to be involved with where the lanes are going. It's the market. It's the Kalshis, the Poly market, the Profit X that Scott uses, that I use. A lot of different ways it's going, and we want to be a part of that like we were January 1st in 2015. The headliner today, comical. Is it time to panic if you're a Red Sox or Oakland Athletics fan? And there's some other teams I could have added there. Both of those teams, what do they have in common? They haven't even played a game at home. And we know the big home field advantage that Oakland has, and we know the style of play that the Red Sox have when they get to friendly Fenway. But both offenses non-existent at this point. ECSI VIPs 0-4 yesterday. We did a double dip with the Royals, Red Sox, and A's, and we had their team totals. If I had told you I had those three teams combined projected over 17.5, 18 runs, and the Royals scored 3, the Red Sox scored 1, and Oakland shut out by who? Mr. Elder. It's just comical. And they had opportunities. And again, as I like to say, when the bats are cold as they are right now, I couldn't get a clutch hit standing on second, hitting off a tee, Scotty. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, Scott?
You just teed me up, my friend. So, like obviously I am the data guy and I do all this data work and we can say that just as a terminology piece. But if you don't know what it means, you don't know how to use it, you can't help yourself. So let's talk Red Sox for just a second. I just had a cookie, so sorry. Anyway, so as we're doing this, Red Sox. So if I say weighted runs created plus, or I say offensive WAR, these are categories that describe an offense in a way that is producing wins and runs and different things to help them win games. The Red Sox are 91. That means they are 9% worse than an average offense going right now. Well, that's not terrible. That's 17th. Now, I just said that, and let's put this into context that we can use. Why aren't they doing anything magical? They're 1-3. Well, RE24 comes into play again. Okay. So this is the beauty of RE24. It works both ways. You're grading pitchers on their ability to suppress runs, and you're going to grade offenses on their ability to unsuppress runs and score runs, right? So what's perfect is when you get a matchup, and we're going to get into these in a little while. The data is not clean, so we're not going to use it yet. But as the data gets clean, we're going to use run suppression pitchers against run suppressed offenses. And we're going to use run exaggerating offenses against pitchers who can't stop it. We're going to deal with that, and we're going to bet totals. We're going to bet overs, and we're going to bet team totals. That's what we're going to use it for. So, but if you want an explanation, I just told you they're 9% worse than average. They ranked 17th in weighted runs created plus. That's not the worst thing I've ever seen, right? They are third worst in runs. They've got 11 runs. But if you look at, let me pull this up. I got it right here in front of me. If you look at RE24 for offenses going into today, obviously they haven't played today, the Boston Red Sox are minus 10.75. So if there was a pitcher, that'd be good, right? I mean, they'd be doing a good job. They're second worst in all of baseball. So it tells you exactly the story behind, hey, this offense, if you look at it from certain perspectives, it's not terrible. Middle of the pack's not terrible out of 30 teams. But how do you win games? You score runs, and you don't have run suppression against you. And that's where they are. They are the second worst team in that category. And then we talked about the Athletics. The Athletics aren't much better. They're minus 903, which puts them 27th out of 30 teams. But I would tell you their weighted runs created plus is much worse. They're if I click on that, I can tell you what it is. Weighted runs created plus for the Athletics is 44. 44. That means they are 56% worse than an average offense right now. That's not going to win you any games either. So, some of the stuff that I've been seeing about the new manager in San Francisco, Vitello, and all the stuff about, they got all this pressure lifted off him because he won a game yesterday. No, he didn't. He's not feeling any of that pressure. He shouldn't be. The reality is, if you don't hit, you're not going to score, and that's what's going on in San Francisco. They're not hitting, so they're not scoring. So, it'd be one thing if you were scoring and you were making bad managerial decisions by how you run your bullpen, or you did something and you didn't have good training in the spring training, and all your guys are throwing to the wrong base and doing stupid stuff. But they're not really doing it that way. They're just getting beat by better teams. They played the Yankees 3 times. The Yankees are better than them. So I think you're going to see this switch around a little bit. They're playing the Padres. They're even with the Padres. It's a good pitching matchup for them today. But they're even with the Padres over the course of a season. So they're going to win some of these games. And then as they're a 500-ish team. They're going to be better than the Nationals and some of these other teams. They'll beat them up. So I think you just got to have perspective on stuff. The A's are a team that I believe is a little less than a 500 team. They just don't have enough pitching to put them in a position to do well. They're going to have their offense really take off, and they did last year. But they're going to have their offense really take off to softball style win some of these games. And then I was struck by what the Red Sox did in the offseason, by what they did on the pitching front, because I thought they did a pretty good job of getting the pitching, and then they lost Bregman, and they never replaced these guys. I'm just telling you. You've heard me say this, and I've said this for years. You must have, on an offensive team that's any good, you got to have proven RBI guys. You just got to have them. You got to have that guy that no matter what happens, he's going to drive in the runs. And they don't have them. They just don't have that guy. They don't have a 100 RBI guy. You got to have that. And I think, in my opinion, I'm not saying that the Red Sox are flawed and all this other stuff, but I will say I don't know if they're as good as the Orioles. I don't know that. And I think that's because, the Orioles have these kids that they're not proven 100 RBI guys, but they haven't been around long enough. Maybe say the same thing about the Red Sox, but I don't know that there's upside with the Red Sox players as there is with the Orioles players in terms of offense. So I'm was concerned before the season started about how the Red Sox were going to do. And if they don't pitch, I think they're going to get beat. And if they pitch, I think they're going to stay in the games. And you're going to have to see if you really like Joey Cora or not, because he's going to have to manage his way through these games to win them. Because, you've seen Roman Anthony now. He played for Team USA and everybody loved him. Got off to a good start with Boston in the first game. Well, now he's been struggling some. So you're going to need to have no struggles. But, over the course of the season, they play 162 games. They've played 4. Relax. These guys are going to get some of this stuff in. I mean, I'll be honest. I wasn't real impressed with, the Contreras deal. I know a lot of people like the Contreras. I'm not sure he's that guy. He might be the aid to that guy. If you had that guy and he's the next guy, okay, I'm good with that. But if he's that guy, I don't think that's the right way to go. So anyway, that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I can go through the moves and why they did the moves. They basically, in their mind, they saved $40-50 million of Bregman's money, and they just got a pitcher. Sonny Gray was going to be the guy as their 2/3. Actually, they're 2. And they were going to get Bregman, and Bregman wouldn't budge. And they had opportunities to go get Suarez. They didn't do there. We'll spend even less and go get Durbin. And by the way, talked about this weeks in advance. They turned around Priester last year, Milwaukee did, and they pounced on Harrison, and Harrison was just who I thought he was. You watch Harrison this year for the Brewers. You don't find young lefties like that growing on trees. So again, a lot of holes. They don't have that Devers, Betts, Bregman. I mean, theoretically, that guy right now, you're going to laugh when I say it, is Trevor Story. And we know how many games Trevor plays every year. No disrespect. He's on the back 9. And they're expecting Roman Anthony to be that guy. Then they need help with Roman Anthony, hoping Marcelo Meyer becomes a everyday guy. There's so many holes there. And again, it's a total team effort. And I've seen makeups like this catch fire, and I know you have too. A total team effort with you can't be win every first day with Crochet and go 1-3 the next 4 days. And that's what they're setting up. Oh, that's what they did so far. They set up to do. So again, Suarez is going to take a little time. There's something, as you said, he's a soft tosser. You were talking to PB on the timeline yesterday. Those bad days are going to happen. Sonny Gray, I said in my alert, looked like instead of Sonny, he looked like Cher. And he just didn't have it. I knew that early. Big start for Bello, but it doesn't matter if Bello pitches his butt off. If they're not scoring, again, this was Lance McCullers coming off an injury, okay? And he looked like J.R. Richards out there. I mean, he struck out 5 in the first 6, and they're just not hitting. And it's almost like, here, get us to Fenway on Friday. Just somehow let's find a way to get another win. Maybe some of the bats wake up, and once they get to Fenway, you'll see a different offense, Scotty.
Well, I'm just saying, like it's way too early to have all these guys, and I saw Dontrell Willis on something talking about well, it's not working in San Francisco. Maybe they shouldn't have brought this guy on as a name. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like Dontrell Willis, he's a former Major League Baseball pitcher, and it was pretty good at the time. Obviously he flamed out pretty quick, but it's you can't be saying stuff like this and then be taken seriously. I mean, it really is one of these things where be careful what you listen to. I never, and I'm just going to say it this way because it's the truth, I never watch ESPN anymore. If anything, I barely watch Fox stuff. I hate pregame shows. I don't want to get involved in any of that stuff because it's all hype, circumstance, bull crap. They don't know what they're talking about. And it's just evident on these things. And, it's all fan driven and fan related, and fans are not really looking at meat and potatoes, core substance kind of stuff. And I 100% understand why, because it's minutia, boring as hell, and it's just terrible. People don't want to get into this and go, where did you find this RE24 crap at? They don't want to deal with that. So I just understand all of that. But at the same time, if you're gambling your money and you're saying, hey, I'm going to put $50 on this, you earned that $50 somehow. Don't just give $50 away without the expectation of making money on your $50. So don't listen to the crap that is out there. And God bless, isn't there enough of that? It's just annoying as hell.
I will say this. I almost fell out of my bed last night. I was blessed to have the Padres and the Giants on, and I had to rub my eyes 3 times. Batting cleanup, Luis Arias, and I'm like, whoa, Tony, what do you do? Listen, I grew up with Wade Boggs, and that was take 2 strikes, foul 4 off, and slap a double off the Green Monster. Arias is he's that guy. He's the slap, get on base. He's gonna find Tony's got him batting 4th, Scotty.
Well, I think when you're also sitting there going, we didn't score against the Yankees in this game. We didn't score in that game. We only scored 1 in that game. You scored one run. You want to shake things up a little bit. And when it comes to statistics and data, right? Everybody wants to go how valuable Luis Arias is because he bats 300 in today's Major League Baseball. And he does, and he didn't quite get there last year, but he's a 300 hitter. Okay, so that should be very valuable. Guess who one of the very last free agents to sign was? Luis Arias. And why? Well, A, they don't like his defense, but B, it's because even though he's a 300 hitter, he's not an RBI guy. He doesn't steal bases. He doesn't hit doubles. He doesn't hit home runs very often. He's not a producing member of helping his team win games that much. So his wins above replacement number, it's not bad. It's like 2.8, 2.9, something like that. But you're going to see, guys like Eugenio Suarez have just as big a number as he does. And Jesus, he bats 220 and strikes out, 190 times, but hits 50 home runs and drives in however many runs he hits. So that's the difference, right? The difference is maybe he's onto something here. Maybe the guy can drive in more runs by batting 3rd and 4th and 5th in the lineup and be an RBI producer. Doesn't have to hit the home runs and let, ding dong, Devers bat 2nd and 3rd with Chapman and figure out what those 2 guys are doing to be power guys. And if they get on base, let Arias kind of move them around and see if the next guy can hit a sacrifice fly or something. Maybe that's a way to generate runs. So I don't mind some of the stuff that these guys do to shake up their lineups. In certain ways, I sort of wish they would do a little bit more of that because, when his first 3 games against the Yankees, same exact lineup every day, the same exact one, and same exact result every day. But at the same time, when that happens, you do have to give credit to pitchers too, because, it is. I'm just, yesterday I made the comment that in one of these days I'm just going to do it because I'm tired of it. But one of these days I'm going to go make a whole bunch of snippets, and I don't know, make a whole big long thread or something, or to do something, or maybe I'll put it in the Substack or something so you can see all the pictures. When I tell you, you don't have to throw strikes to get guys out in Major League Baseball, I'm telling you, they swing at all kinds of crazy ass stuff. So it's just, and then they hit home runs on pitches that are 4 feet outside and stupid stuff like that, and getting base hits on stuff like that. So it's just crazy thoughts and thinking about how effective it is or non-effective it is to hit. The reason these guys are swinging at pitches that aren't strikes is because the velocity is so much in today's baseball. And I'm not just talking about the fastball. They're throwing sliders harder than they've ever thrown them before. They're throwing curveballs harder. It was funny watching Bassett yesterday throw a 70-mile-an-hour curveball. I thought that was funny as hell. But they're throwing these pitches with more spin, with more movement, it's way harder and more pitch sequencing. And the more you hear, and analysts talk about stuff now, they're talking about pitch shaping. They're trying to get pitchers to take their slider or their curveball or their sweeper or their slurve or whatever you want to call these breaking pitches, and form it to a way that makes it very difficult for the batters. And they are, because they have the data. And then because of the data, they can do the different things with pressures with their fingers on the ball and spins and different things to make the ball move that they never had before. So batters are on the other side going, I have milliseconds to decide what that pitch is. And if I can't pick it up out of the guy's hand, I'm screwed. And that's the way it's been going. And you can see some of it. Some of it's awful. These guys are swinging at stuff. It's unbelievable. The ball bounces, 2 feet in front of them. They're swinging at it. You can see a pitcher set up hitters where, you sit there and you go, oh, he just threw a ball high. He's going to come down with a, change up low and get him out. And sure as shit, that's exactly what happens. So you'd think if you were a batter, I got to be prepared for that. But the reality becomes is, well, what if he doesn't do that? What if he does something else? And then you're blasted another way. So I would just say that Major League Baseball today and the pitching today, and I've said it for years now, is the best that it's ever been. And I don't care. You can tell me about Sandy Koufax and Bob Gibson and all these guys. And in their era, they were good. You put them in today's era, they're going to get hit, and they're going to get hit hard. Do you realize that these guys are throwing 97 miles an hour and they're getting home runs hit off of them? If they were throwing 97 miles an hour back, 30, 40 years ago, they're throwing it right by everybody because they're not good enough to hit it. Well, it's not like that in today's game. It's different. So I'm not trying to tell you that those guys aren't good pitchers. What I'm trying to tell you is it's evolved to the point in which those guys wouldn't make the team today. Well, maybe they would. I don't know. But they're not going to be the number one guys. They're not going to be the Bob Gibson, the Sandy Koufax, They're not, because they don't. The ball doesn't move the way it does today. They can't make it move the way it does. They can't throw the velocity that these guys do. And I just mean even most of these guys, even today, you got number 5 guys going. A lot of these guys still throw 97 miles an hour. You got a guy today that I'll be talking about, Bubba Chandler. Bubba Chandler's throwing 98 miles an hour today. He's number 5 guy. Come on, man. I mean, baseball is so much more evolved talent level wise, person to person, player to player, that it's much harder to hit, way harder to hit than it ever has been before.
7, 10, 14.
Yeah, there's only the so when they have a game open, right? So they played in Kansas City yesterday, home opener for them. They give them the day off after, not because they want to give them a day off, but they want to say, oh well, it rained out this game, we can give them that game as the home opener. So that's why they're not playing today. So there's 14 today, 15 tomorrow, and then Thursday. Holy shit, there's 4 games.
14 games on the site. Just eye test Senga and the Mets at St. Louis against Polenta. I assume you will be talking Webb versus San Diego. And just knowing you and worked with you long enough, Webb did not have a good start. And you had already talked about that the day after, and he was going to San Diego, and he's facing Marquez. So I assume we'll be talking about that matchup. DeGrom gets scratched because of a neck issue, ready to go today at Baltimore against Eflin. I talked about Bayo versus Brown. Here, you would think Astros, Sox aren't hitting, blah, blah, blah. This is the game they probably bounce back and steal. Fried versus Gilbert. 9:40 must-watch TV if you're a baseball purist. The Athletics, listen, you can't hit Elder, in comes Suarez. It's a 9. I'd wait till they get back home. Thanks, but no thanks. The Cubs, we had their team total on Sunday, stuck on stupid, of course, and then they put up a touchdown yesterday against Soriano, who had a great first opening day. I'd be interested in what you have to say about that. McClanahan, first start against Woodruff, great matchup there. Mize versus Fat. 2 years ago in their playoff run had an amazing second half and bring Arizona back home. They're a different team at home. The ball travels. You get a lot more high scoring games. Mize versus Fat, short favorite by Arizona with a flat 9, and then Shohei Ohtani versus Bibby. Correct me if I'm wrong here. This is a little odd to me. Didn't Bibby get hurt opening day? Or am I?
They took him out of that game. What they're saying was early, but because he had shoulder soreness or something in his right shoulder. But having said that, hold on. Having said that, let me flip this over here 1 second. Bibby threw. Look at me go. I'm just a rock star and didn't have it in here today. But I'll get it for you in 1 second. Bibby's pitch count on that day, if I remember right, was way more than you might think. And I'm going to get there if I can get there. Where is teams? Bibby, Cleveland, Guardians. There you go. And I got to go to expanded, and I go to a number of pitches. He threw 78 pitches for opening day. I mean, that's right around, now he can throw more than that. But that's 80, 85. He would probably have thrown anyway, so I took him out. So yeah, there's some concern around his shoulder. He didn't throw well in that first game either. But I would say this. That's a weird ass game for me when it comes to the handicap. The Dodgers got beat last night. That Messick kid looked pretty good. Roki made it through 4 and whatever third innings, and he got his pitch counts up to 80 or something like that. So he threw his pitches. And it wasn't so much Roki's reason that they lost. They lost because theoretically, Jay Berry says the Red Sox offense is still in Fort Myers. That's actually pretty funny, Jay. So I would say that the reason that the Dodgers lost, they didn't score. So that's the issue. It's one of those things. I would tell you that Roki developmentally, that's a big step to go for in some innings when he's playing these spring training games, can't get out of the first inning, has to go sit down, and then come. Let's go back and pitch the second, right? So that was big for them, but this is just one of those spots where you're paying a Dodger tax tonight, and because you're paying the Dodger tax, there's value on the Guardians. But I can get into this real long story, but I'll make it real quick because Kenny White sends these numbers to me, and I send them out to other people and things. And one of the things he does is he's going to tell you to go bet Cleveland tonight, or he's going to go tell you to bet these big minus numbers and 1% flat and stuff like that. Well, the truth of the matter is, the only way that works, because you can go do the math. You can go say, well, if you're a, and I think I did this the other day, but if you go and you are a, let me pull this up over here so that it's a different spot. Here we go. If you go, and let me pull up my calculator for 1 second. Here we go. So if you are a, let's just say like Dodgers tonight, what are they? They're minus like 260.
260.
Yeah. So if you're minus 260, you got to win 72.2% of those games to break even. So that's the math. Well, think about it this way. How many minus 260 games are there going to be this season? I don't know. Maybe let's just say there's 50. Well, if you don't bet off 50, then the math is wrong. Because you're skewing the information to the point where, well, I won this one, I won this one, I won this one, I won this one. Oop, I lost that one. Well, I'm not going to bet anymore because I lost that one. Well, I like this, I'm going to do that. So now you don't have the full picture of the scope of how much the math actually gets affected. So you actually have to win more than that to cover your number. Think about that. You got to win 3 out of 4 bets just to break even. It works the other way too. So if you are 260 is what, probably 220, 250, 240?
We'll round up. We'll give them 215, 220. That's the number.
220. Okay, so we'll say it's 220 just because it's easy. 31.3%. That's how many times you have to win. So you got to win. Well, we'll just say it's 3 out of 10 times you got to win. If you don't bet every single one of those events, you're going to have to win 4 out of 10. And which 4 are you going to bet? Are you going to bet this one? Are you going to bet the other one from the other night? Are you going to bet the other one tonight? My point is, you're going to lose if you don't do this on every regular. So all these guys that are out here in the handicapping world and sit there and they tell you, oh, you got to bet this big dog tonight. You got to do this. You got to do it. No, you don't. And don't do it because it's wrong. Math is wrong. And the reason I tell you that is because if you don't do it on every single one, then you can't come back to me and go, well, I only got to win 30% of the time. Well, that's if you bet every single time. If you don't bet every single time, you got to win more. And it works the other way as a favorite as well. So my point being is if you are on, like the Dodgers tonight, the Dodgers are big favorites. They are you're paying a premium tonight. You're paying a Dodger tax. Ohtani, all that stuff going on. It's too high. So the value is on the Cleveland side. Well, if you don't bet Cleveland and these are the plus 220s every single time, then don't do it. If you want to bet the 220s every single time all season long, have at it. This is the right spot. It's the right place to go. So anyway.
And you're not just paying a Dodger tax tonight, guys. You're paying an Ohtani tax because he's pitching, number one. And number two, here's where they play the Jedi mind tricks. Well, the Dodgers aren't going to lose 2 in a row at home. Okay. All right. You're not going to run to the window and lay the 260, but they're doing you a favor. You can go run to the window and play the run line minus 1.5 and only spend 20 cents. So you're telling me I can take a 260 favorite, Ohtani, Dodgers aren't losing 2 in a row, and just lay 20 cents and then they have to win by 2? and you watch how many people on social media or on Twitter, that's their play of the day. That is their play of the day. And what was the under over here? The total is a flat 8. There are some 7.5s at FanDuel and Hard Rock. Final score 4-3. And so the only way you win this game, and I'm just being fictitious here, but the only way that you do win, the Dodger team total doesn't cash, the Guardians team total doesn't cash, the game doesn't go over, and the run line doesn't come in, blah, 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 blah. So just be careful. And what Scotty's saying is so true. I'll wrap up this segment very simply. One of my greatest stories amongst the 11 years we've been here with ECSI and the VIPs, Dodgers had won 15 in a row. Come back home on Friday night lights, Kershaw on the mound against the Padres. Kershaw was minus 300, and I don't even remember who was pitching for the Padres. And I sent out on our alert, take the Padres plus the 260. And I got more DMs, more people calling me, texting me, hey, Jeff, you okay? Did you fall down? What's going on? There's no way in hell I'm betting the Padres plus 260. They would rather kiss their sister. They would rather burn the money. You can tell someone to run to the window and bet a minus 300. They'll do it in a heartbeat. But when you tell them to bet a plus 260, they look at you like you got 4 heads. So that's the beauty of baseball and money lines. And again, I can't say this enough, guys. The 30, 35, 40 cents at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of 6 months really do add up. So when Scotty talks about going to the window with conviction, what I want to tell everyone is set yourself up, take a look at your bankroll, but have a plan. Hey, I'm not betting anything over 135. Okay, well, you can still bet 135s or higher. What I suggest is just use the risk button. If you're a $100 player and you want to bet a minus 150 tonight, I really don't want to dig into the bankroll and bet the 150. Just use the risk line. It's just the same thing. You just net and profit less. You're risking 100 at a minus 150 to win 75. That's all.
I do that every day. So when you flat bet, right? You pick a number. And I just say it this way: if I make 7 bets and I make 7 $100 bets, I got $700 out there today, right? So maybe I don't want to bet $700 on this early. I'll just cut it back. I'll bet 50. I got $350 out there today. And then as the data comes in, I'll start going, all right, now it's time to bump this up to 75. Okay, now it's time to bump it up to 100. All right, now it's time to bump it up to 150. So you with baseball, you don't stumble into it. You wade into it. You gradually walk into the ocean, nice and comfortable. You got to get your toes cold, and then you got, okay, well, my toes are cold. All right, well, let me just kind of dance around and get my blood flowing a little bit, and then you take another step, and then you take another step, and then all of a sudden you're down to, you're up to your knees, and you're like, oh, well, I'm okay now, and you keep wading out there, and now all of a sudden you're out there swimming and doing flips and jumping around and playing with damn dolphins and stuff and betting, stepping out on games and whatever it is. But let yourself wade into this in a sense that you're not diving off the deep end so that, you get crushed in a day and you're out of money. It's just, you don't want that.
All right, Scotty, 14 games. I'm throwing you the EFIS pitch. Take it away.
All right, so let's go to where is my stuff at? There it is. Bingo. So if we go first game, well, I already bet this game. So, I was on Texas yesterday, and we gave it out here on the show. And I played him on the money line yesterday. And I'm going to play him on the money line today. Now, this is a weird situation and a weird bet in a sense that you can get away cheaper. I'm betting DeGrom against Eflin today, and I'm betting first 5 money line, not minus the half. I'm going to bet first 5 money line. I paid minus 140 for it. I don't know what it's going to be. I think there's value there. Obviously, I wouldn't bet it if I don't. But here's the deal, right? So DeGrom got scratched Saturday. I heard him when I was on the way back here, coming here to do the show today, that they were on the radio, MLB Network, and they go, well, he had a cranky back. Well, he had a stiff neck. Whatever, same concept, right? These guys get older and they don't sleep right, and it's hard for pitchers to get loose. He's not hurt, so I expect him to be fine, no issues. But it could be where managers go, well, he had his cranky back and he had this, that, and the other. Maybe they take him out earlier than normal. So I don't want to play this full game. I don't necessarily like the Texas bullpen, and because he didn't pitch, Jacob Latz pitched a lot, and the other guy, I forget what his name is, Bromler or some weird name, he pitched a lot the following day. So Saturday and Sunday, they had two of their long men really pitch a lot of innings. So they throw a lot of pitches. So they're a little short there, and they don't have, this greatest of bullpen guys in the first place. So I'm backing off the full game. Now, that said, Zach Eflin's pitching for Baltimore today. Do you know when he last pitched a baseball game? It was July 28th of last season. He's been hurt since then. And he had a game score of 41 last year. Now, that's unfair because he's hurt. So you go back and you look at the previous year, it's a game score of 53. Okay, well, 51's average. So it's just a smidgen over average. Well, Jacob deGrom's not an average pitcher. He was hurt there for a while, came back. He was really good last year. He's going to be really good again. He's spring numbers, 97 miles an hour. No issues. There's no issues that say, hey, red flag, red flag. So I expect Texas not to do like what they did to Bassett, but they could. I mean, Eflin hasn't pitched since July. So this is not necessarily a great spot for him, especially against this lineup. The only concerns, and I had the same concerns last year about Texas. I hate Jock Peterson in the middle of the lineup. Strikes out too much, leaves guys on base. His biggest attribute is, that he can hit a sacrifice fly. Well, you don't need that. You need that from your 7 and 8 hole hitters. Your 3, 4, 5, 6 guys, they need to drive in runs because they hit the ball. So that's a concern, but I don't, they got Andrew McCutchen now, so, I don't expect him to play this game because Andrew's a right-handed hitter and, it's a right-handed pitcher, so that's why they have Peterson. Anyway, that all being said, I think Texas is the right side. I think I don't want to go with the minus a hook either here because there is an opportunity for, Texas, who won yesterday, and the way they won is really good if you want to back them again today. And the reason I say that it's really good is because they scored 1 in the first inning, left the bases loaded, and then they scored 3 in the second, got 4 runs, and didn't score again until, I don't know, the 7th, 8th inning, where they scored 1 more run. They only got 5 runs. So they weren't really the greatest offense in the world. So that leads me to believe that there's still a lot more in the tank for them. Their offense is slightly better right now than Baltimore's. I think they rank somewhere in the 15 range, something like that. I can look it up real quick, but it's like that. And Baltimore is more like, 19 range. Gunnar Henderson woke up yesterday, hit a home run, had a double. Adley Rutschman hit a double yesterday. So I don't really want to get too involved in these guys waking up too for Baltimore, especially against the bullpen side of Texas. So if I pull this up and I look at it from a perspective of this, RE24 last year, again, remember, RE24 is run suppression. The bigger the number, the better it's going to be. For this case, Jacob deGrom, 28.04. His WPA, which is win percent average. I'm going to move this over here just for a second because I don't want to turn away from the screen so much. Is a 2.55. And maybe it's unfair, maybe it's not. But he pitched until July. He pitched, half the season. Eflin, minus 7.5 run suppression, RE24. And he was a minus 0.60 win percent added. He's not getting people to swing and miss. His batting average is high against him. And he's giving up home runs. 1.41 shows up yellow. It's not the worst one on the board today, but when you're yellow, that's the worst 25% in the league. So that's play number 1. First 5 innings, I'm going with Jacob deGrom minus the 140. and not playing him on the run line. You could. It's not going to be the worst thing in the world. Yesterday, my original plan was to play Texas plus a half a run, and I changed it to plus money because I thought it was just a better spot against Bassett. Today, I think that Eflin has a chance to be better than Bassett. So I'm going to leave this one alone just at the money line price, and that's game number one. So here's another food for thought item for everybody. Washington's playing Philadelphia. We talked about this yesterday. Taijuan Walker is one of the worst pitchers in all of baseball. He proved it yesterday. They left him out there to throw 90 pitches. And I think he gave up 10 runs or something like that. And he's gutted it out. I think he only threw 4 innings, gave up 10 runs in 4 innings. Washington wins. Certainly should if they score 10 runs. But today, they're going to have a listed pitcher. His name is, I don't remember what his name is. I didn't list it that way. So the guy's pitching is a relief pitcher. He's an opener. He's not like a relief pitcher being stretched out, that kind of stuff, which we have some of that today. We had some of that yesterday. But today, this guy's a true relief pitcher. He's already pitched twice for the Nationals in, an inning or whatever type of an event. That's what he's going to do today. Well, then who's going to pitch? Well, the guy lined up is Zach Lytle. So Zach Lytle is really going to be the pitcher for the Nationals today. So when you handicap the game, don't handicap it off the opener. Handicap it off of Zach Lytle. So that's number one. Number two, you have Andrew Painter, the highly touted guy for 2 or 3 years now for the Phillies pitcher, making his actual major league debut today. Now, he had spent not last year, but the year before with Tommy John, and he was out. So last year was kind of recovery year. He's not showing the super highly tout stuff that he used to maybe have since before surgery. But I think he'll be good enough today. I'm not paying this premium. I'm not paying this price. I don't like the number. What is the number? The number is like minus 200 or something. Phillies minus 172. Well, it was earlier, and that's at Profit X. So it's probably minus 180 or 190 somewhere. So I don't think that's the right thing to do here. The other thing I would tell you is when you're handicapping these games and you're trying to see what's going to happen, just focus on the game. It's not your job to figure out streaks. In other words, sometimes people are going, the Phillies, they're not winning right now, but they're due. Okay, well, they might be due, but it's not your job to go and say, well, because they're due, they're going to win today and end the streak. Or the A's in that because they've lost 4 in a row, right? At some point in time, they're going to win. Well, today's that day because they've lost 4 in a row. They can lose 5. They could lose 10. It's not your job to figure out what number streak it ends on. You need to handicap the game and understand what you're actually betting, right? So in this case, I'm just going to leave this game alone 100%. The Nationals playing pretty good. They've scored a lot of runs. They're hitting. They could hit Painter today, depending upon, major league debut, whether it's good, bad, and different. They could hit him. Think about that. If they do actually hit him and they got to take Painter out early, now what? All their bullpen's been used up. It's a mess. So that puts advantage Nationals. But I'm not going to bet Nationals either. So I'm not going to bet on an opener that nobody knows who he is. And then I'm not going to go and say, well, Zach Lytle, blah, blah. Zach Lytle is a non-strikeout guy. He's like a 5%, 6% strikeout guy. He's going to pitch to contact. He's going to try to get soft contact, and that's what he's going to do. So Phillies are going to hit him. It's a matter of whether they get hits or not. So just leave that one off. That's the way that one goes. This is the one game that I think is an amazing game. If you're on my Substack, you'll get to see it. Bubba Chandler is pitching for the Pirates today. And he's going to pitch against Brandon Williamson. Yeah, and I know people like Brandon Williamson because he's got some kind of story with his health or whatever, or something with his life, and people like him. And I'm rooting for the guy for those reasons. I'm not going to root for him today, but I'm going to root for him, in life in general. But Bubba Chandler He pitched what was it? He pitched four games with game score last year, which means he started those 4 games. And then they let him pitch in relief like 3 or 4 times prior to that. So he's pitched in the big leagues at least in 8 different games. But here's what you need to know. His game score last year in the 4 games that he pitched, his game score was a 56. Right now we say aces are 60 and and all this stuff. Now, here's what I want to tell you. Remember, we just talked about, Painter's got his major league debut today. Well, when Bubba Chandler, even though they broke him in nice and easy and let him pitch in the bullpen, his first start, game score 8. 8. That's what it was. I mean, like I can do like this, 8. So his next 3 is what's the amazing part. And it's not amazing that he did it. It's just his next 3, his game score average for those 3, if you take away his first one, remember he was a 56 for the season. If you take away that 8 over his next 3 games, his game score average 73, for God's sakes. So who does 73s for 3 straight games? I mean, he's going to have an 80 somewhere and, like a 65 someplace and, nothing below, 60 at all. But he had that 8. So here's what, who does that? Paul Skeens does that. You know who else does that? Tariq Skubal does that. Nobody else in Major League Baseball does those things. So think about this. You're going to have, quote, a talent like a Paul Skeens, like a Tariq Skubal, and Bubba Chandler today pitching against a stretched out relief pitcher who hasn't started a game for the Reds. This is Williamson. He has no game score from last year because he was, well, I guess he's got one. He only 3 starts. I'm sorry. He had 3 starts last year. He's a relief, game score 40, by the way. And he's a relief pitcher that they're working on making him a starting pitcher. He was going to pitch against, say, a Tariq Skubal or a Paul Skeens. What kind of edge do you think he got? It's massive, man. This is a big pitching edge for Pittsburgh. Guess what the line is? It opened with Pittsburgh being the favorite, or not Pittsburgh, Cincinnati being a small favorite. I couldn't get there in time, so I got them at minus 103. I'm telling you, bet Pirates today, and I get it. Pirates aren't necessarily the greatest hitting team in the world. Neither are the Reds. None of these teams are super explosive, but they've had some good stuff going for them. And Brandon Lau's been good for the Pirates, and Matt McClain's been doing good for the Reds. But this is all about, hey, Bubba Chandler is that guy against this team, against this pitcher anyway. Great matchup for him. He's number 5 in the rotation. I think that's a great spot for him. I think he gets some soft opponents to go against and develop even more. Look, can you imagine what it's going to look like when Skeens and then Bubba Chandler gets his shot to be second in the rotation, and then they get Jared Jones back who throws 100 miles an hour? I mean, they're going to be a team to be, and Braxton Ashcraft pitched really good yesterday. He just got outpitched. That game was 2-0. Cincinnati scored 2 runs in 1 inning, and that was it. Nobody scored anywhere else in the whole game. So they're going to be able to pitch. So it's just a matter of getting them hitting. Some of the guys have done well for Pittsburgh in terms of the new guys, Brandon Lau and the left-handed guy they got from the Padres, whatever his name is. Those guys have done pretty good. So as this goes, that's play number 2. Play number 1, DeGrom, first 5 innings, money line minus 140. This is Pittsburgh, and this is Bubba Chandler, full game, whatever you get, I don't care. As long as it's not, something out of line. Pittsburgh's going to win this game. The next one. Miami, right, going against the White Sox, we were 3-0. We're the best team in the world. They get smashed yesterday. Chris Paddock was awful. Gives up, I don't know how many runs he gave up. But White Sox destroyed them. Well, it might flip a little bit today, but the numbers aren't good in terms of the odds. You're asking Miami, what are they, 145, 150, something like that. And they have Jansen Junk going. Of course, the White Sox have Eric Fetty. Now, Eric Fetty can get ripped at any point in time, but you know what else he can do? He can shut you down at any point in time. He's one of them soft tossing guys that's a veteran, been around the block. Just, could give the young hitters at Miami all kinds of trouble. But I'm just going to stay away, and I don't have to worry about it. So the other part of this would be is I've seen people go, well, let's bet the over because of this. Look, they went over yesterday, and what's important to understand is Miami is not an over offense. The stadium they play in is way fan friendly, so there's a lot of things going against you for doing a lot of this, stuff where you just, the White Sox are going to be able to hit him and, Jansen Junk. Who is he? Well, he's pretty good. And then on the backside, you sit there and go, well, Eric Fetty's no good. Well, he might be. So just stay away, in my opinion. The next one is Colorado and Toronto. And imagine that Colorado goes in and beats Cody Ponce's debut. Cody Ponce goes 2 1/3 innings. Goes down to chase the ground ball and breaks his leg. I don't know what he did. I think he blew up his knee, so I think he's probably done for the year. They had to take him out. So what does that mean? Well, that means they used up their bullpen yesterday. So who's pitching today? Scherzer. He's the 80. I don't know how old he is, but going out there and trying to get him to go deep into a game, he's going to dry. But it's not necessarily the greatest situation for Toronto. Then they got to come in with their bullpen. Now, I will say, the guy they're facing is Feltner. Last year, and there was a time when Freeland wasn't pitching. So Feltner was the best pitcher they had. Well, they got these veteran guys, and Sugano went and held down, Toronto yesterday. He's going to throw harder than some of the other guys on the team, and he's going to make the ball move a little. He must be better than Dollander, the big star that they have, because they put him in the bullpen. So I don't like this game. This is it's way too much of a price. It's minus 240. Again, if everybody's going to look to try to go first 5 and run line and stuff like that. Scherzer is an average pitcher nowadays. His game score last year for Scherzer wasn't even that. It was 46. It's worse. His game score is 46, which is worse than Feltner's 47. So I don't think you got a real super big edge on the mound, even though you got a name in Scherzer who, can be good, but he can also be terrible. So I'm just going to leave this one out. I don't think there's value there. And then Jeff mentioned this game. This is the A's and this is the Braves. This is the most. So here's what the Braves are doing. So it's just so everybody knows. They got all these pitching injuries, and now they're down to the 5th spot. And they're going to let Jose Suarez start this game. Jose Suarez started one game last year. In the game he started, he threw a game score of 67 or some crazy number. It was a big, big score. Anyway, he's a relief pitcher, and he might go 4 innings, 5 innings, something like that. But that's by design too, because he's not totally stretched out and he's not a big flamethrower guy. Well, Martin Perez is coming in. He's the back-to-back kind of starting pitcher dynamic that they're going to have here. You're going to have, old veteran guy followed by an old veteran guy. And then you got I wouldn't call him an old veteran guy, but a veteran guy on the other side in Aaron Savali. Aaron Savali is not the right guy, in my opinion, to be an innings eater for the A's. There are some of these guys that can get away with certain things, and like Bassett, for example. He's a guy that can get away with stuff and actually win you some games and help you along. Savali, maybe not. So Savali is a guy that I think that the Braves are going to continue to hit. Now, the one thing that's interesting to me is it's been not the best friendly ballpark to score runs in. The Braves have been winning these games, but it hasn't been, big overs and big crazy numbers and all this stuff. They've just been better. than the teams they're playing, and 6-1s, that kind of thing, where they're winning by 4 and 5 runs at a time. But they're not scoring double digits in runs, and that's primarily because they're hitting home runs. The wind's killing them. The ball's not flying out of there. So again, here you go. You're going to end up with the Atlanta minus, I don't know, like 150 or something. And the reality becomes, it's too high a price to pay. Do I think they're going to win? I think they will. But you can say that, but the A's are going to hit at some point. And why can't they hit these two pitchers? Well, they can. So I'm just going to leave this one alone. I don't think the value's there. The next game is LA and Chicago. And Jeff mentioned, this is Jose Soriano's second start. So we're going to do the diatribe here in a little bit. And then you got Jameson Taillon. Look, from the very first time I started telling people I was charting pitches, Jameson Taillon was the first guy I wrote about. And I can tell you, this was, I don't know, sometime in the beginning, like February 14th. I don't know. I think that's when they all got together, but they didn't start pitching, game time until maybe 10 days later. Anyway, he's been bad from that point on. His velocity's down at least 1 or 2 miles an hour. And I know that's not a terrible amount, but when you only throw 93 and now you're throwing 91, that puts you in the danger zone for a pitcher. Those guys can hit 90, 91 in their sleep. So that's bad. His spin rate is also down more than 100. It's usually in somewhere between 150 to 200. That's bad. Did you watch him in the WBC when he pitched for Canada? He got killed. That's bad. So I have been waiting for this day since the beginning of February to bet against Jameson Taillon, and guess what? I can't do it. I can't do it because Jose Soriano pitched a great game for the A's, or for the Angels, against the Astros. He has I got to change my screen for a second. I got an older computer, I guess. Not that old, but I got a 32-inch monitor over here, and this one's like 21-inch. I can't get everything to fit on the 21-inch that I can on the 32-inch. So I got to move it over. I have another 30-inch monitor. I just can't get it to hook up to my damn computer because it doesn't have a spot in the back because it's over. Whatever. So he threw game score 68. He threw 91 pitches, and his game score a year ago was 51. Now, he's their number one pitcher. But remember, he's an average pitcher. He's probably a little better than average. He just gets beat up sometimes. It really affects his game score. But that said, I'm not expecting him to have a great day today. So if I don't expect him to have a great day, and certainly Taillon's not going to have a great day, that just negates everything. And, I think the total on this game was some crazy number where let me find it on my other. It's got to be maybe there. Yeah. So if I go look at this and I look at Cubs and Angels, the total is 7 in this game. That means the wind's blowing in, nothing. I got nothing. So all the stuff I wanted to do, everything lines up perfect. Bet against Taillon, but I can't. So pass, and that's the way it goes. And I just leave it alone and go on and look for the next routine. And that becomes Tampa Bay and Milwaukee. Now, this is another weird game. And a lot of these are getting weird. This is McClanahan. This is his first start in 2 years. He hasn't pitched a Major League Baseball game in 2 years. He was the ace of this team, a very, very good pitcher, leading them to playoff charges and all that stuff. Matched up to anybody, didn't care. He was good. Against Brandon Woodruff from Milwaukee. Brandon Woodruff from Milwaukee is now the de facto number one pitcher for Milwaukee. But why didn't he pitch the opening day when Mazeroski did? Well, because he had a terrible spring. He's coming back from surgery and injury. He hasn't pitched since, I don't remember when it was. It's been a while since he's been on the mound too, but I can tell you real fast. Let's go here, and let's type his name in, Woodruff. He hasn't pitched in so long Two, that the issue becomes what do you trust and what don't you trust? His last start. Well, I guess he did pitch the back half of last season. He started pitching in July, and then finished it off for the season. So he pitched what looks like 12 games last year. Had a good record, but his spring's been bad. His velocity's way off. So they said, well, and he's not ramped up. He can't throw that many pitches. So they said, well, we can't have you be the opening day pitcher. We're going to pitch you 5. Well, that matches him up against McClanahan, who hasn't pitched in 2 years. McClanahan has been stuff-wise decent in spring training. I don't know what you're going to get. I don't know if you're going to get 2 really good ace kind of guys, or if you're going to get 2 guys coming back from injury that both teams are going to be able to hit. So that means, in my eyes, I look at this and go, there's not enough information to bet on. I need to know who these guys are. So I'm going to pass, let it go, see what happens with these guys as they go forward. And maybe one of them, maybe both of them turn into guys you can bet on. But I think at this point, that's a hard pass. Jeff mentioned Senga and Kodai Senga against Palante. Now, first thing I want to say is Palante is a game score of 45 from last year. That's terrible. He pitched a lot. He's a starting pitcher. I do want to say that he's not a strikeout guy. He's not going to go out and strike out the world. He's a ground ball guy. He is one of the highest ground ball pitchers in baseball, 59%. That's way up there. So he wants them to hit the ball in the ground. So he's going to throw a lot of stuff that dives and sinks. And then hope the Mets just pound it into the ground. Well, Kodai Senga is an ace type stuff that doesn't get ace type results. That's because he can't throw strikes. He walks a lot of guys, and he got in trouble last year. His arm fell off, and he had all kinds of different problems. So this season, he's coming back from his resolves. And I will say this, his velocity is up 2 miles an hour. He looks really good in spring. So I think he's going to be top notch, and he could be a key to Mets success because, he could be kind of an ace that nobody thought was going to be there. So I think he can be better, than the guy they got from the Brewers. So I think this is the spot where, okay, let's go bet Mets. Well, problem that you're going to have to go when you say go bet Mets is the price. Everything is always price dependent. Here you have Mets on the road, minus 150, minus 155. I got them minus 148. So where's the value? There isn't any. So you just let it go. Plus, it's a big number. When you have to pay 150 on the road, it's a big number. Maybe you want to change it to a first 5. I'm not changing it to a first 5 covering the front line because Kodai Senga can walk the world. I'm just not going to do it. So let's let him do some things. Let's see what his game scores come out to be, and we can bet on him or against him the next time out. So that's kind of food for thought. You got hundreds of bets to make over the course of weeks. So let's just let some of this stuff happen naturally. Then you have Boston and Houston. Now, look, there's one caveat to the game score progression deal. When you have an ace, and I'm just going to tell you, Hunter Brown has turned into an ace. His game score last season, for example, and I had to do a double check. His game score last season is a 61. 61. Look, there's a handful of guys that do that. He's one of them. His game score the first time out was a 58. It's a good score, good outing. What's concerning a little bit, he was one of the only pitchers so far to throw over 100 pitches, 102. Now, pitch workload we'll talk about maybe around the 4th start, maybe the 3rd start, 4th start. If a pitcher has 100, then 100, then 100, then 100, and the other guy's got 80, 90, maybe 100, then back to 80 again. Look, he's way more fresh than the guy that's throwing, 100, 100, 100. His stuff's not going to do as much. This is one of those spots where, well, maybe not. Still too early. What I will say is Brown, when I looked at his numbers and his game score data and different things, he can throw 8, 9, 8 or 9 game score 60s in a row before he has a bad one. So I'm expecting him to throw really good. I think Bayo is probably going to throw halfway decent today. He threw pretty good in the WBC. His data numbers for the spring don't show bad. But there's no way you can get me to go and say I'm going to bet against Brown today. But that means I'll be betting on the Astros. I hate the Astros in terms of where they are. But that being said, you got to like betting on teams when you have the opportunity. Astros, though, minus 140, I think is probably too high. I don't like them in that spot. My number says Astros minus 131. They might even be higher than that. That was Profit X from this morning. So I don't like it. So I passed on it. A lot of passes going on here. And then a couple last games. Well, here's a good one. This is the step out game for me. This is San Francisco, San Diego. And this is Logan Webb. And this is against the Padres and German Marquez, for God's sakes. German Marquez, if I pull him up, because it's just interesting stuff. Where is he? Let's go here, Marquez. It's easier to do it this way. There he is. German Marquez. If I go look at he made 26 starts last year. 32 is so 26 is right there with everybody else. He didn't throw many innings, 126, because he got bombed every game. His record, of course, you're playing with the Rockies, so but his record: 3 wins, 16 losses, earned run average 670. Okay, now I get it. Pitches up there. So maybe there's maybe that's not good, or maybe that's not the right way to look at it. So let's go down and look at batting average against 313, whip 1.71, almost 2 guys getting on base every inning. And where's his Sierra number? Let's go to let me find his Sierra number real quick. And Sierra is on here. There's Sierra number 5.26. It's terrible. Look, he's probably one of the worst pitchers that you can throw out there. Kind of like Bueller, kind of like he's not. Well, maybe more like T1 Walker, right? So he's not very good. And when I pulled up his numbers against the Padres or the Giants, because I wanted to see. Remember, Colorado plays in the same division as the Giants. He pitched against them 3 times just last year. 3 times. He threw 4, 9, 13. He threw 13 and 2/3 innings against the Giants. He gave up 19 hits, and he gave up 15 runs. Look, the Giants like to see him. They want to hit him. And so big spot for Giants offense, right? Worst offense in baseball. So now you go and switch this to Logan Webb. Logan Webb, game score 36 last time out against the Yankees. 36. That's an outlier. That's an outlier low number. This is a guy whose game score last year was a 59. He's one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. He has a projected WAR number of 4.75, almost a 5. To give you an idea, Fried and Gilbert are pitching today. Their projected WAR numbers are 3.8 and 3.7. Look, Webb is better than those 2 guys. And I get it, Fried beat him. But his rebound game is almost always an outlier positive to the good. And let's pull him up for a second. I have all this stuff. Like if you want to see it in data form, and like it's in my Substack, all that stuff's posted right there. But here is what I'm talking about. Game log we'll just do last year for Webb. So the very first game he pitched, he threw a game score of 48. Okay, kind of like what he did this year. Next time out, 69 and then 84. Okay, so 2 good starts right off of that. And then he had another bad one, game score 48. Guess what his game score was next time? 74. So 68, 74. The next time he had a bad one was 41, 69, through a 25, through a 55 after that. So that was, quote, his worst game score off of these bad games. That's what these guys do. They throw a bad game, they come out with a dominant game, and it doesn't matter if it's Webb. Go look at any of these pitchers. That's how they do this. It's very rare and very uncommon to have two back-to-back bad game scores if you're an established Major League Baseball player. Now, if you're a new guy, maybe you're going to have a little bit of that trying to find your way. But I'm expecting a big game from Webb. The Padres aren't hitting. Of course, the Giants aren't hitting. I'm expecting the Giants to hit Marquez. The price was, in my mind, unbelievable. I got minus 128. I think it's still quite kind of around there. My numbers, Webby odds, say minus 150. So that's a big value play. I'm all over this game. This is my step out game. So if you're a $50 better, you put $100 on this one and you bet 50 on the other ones. So that's kind of what I'm doing in this spot. And then you have Fried and Gilbert. I wouldn't bet this game in any other way than bet under. But I would tell you the under 6.5. So, maybe you want to pass on that. I don't understand what they're doing in Seattle, by the way. Maybe Jeff knows. But it's been coldish up there. You watch the games, then you can see the smoke coming out of their mouth, and they're wearing their little caps underneath their caps, keeping their faces. You can only see their face and stuff. It's a dome. Why don't they just cover it up? I don't get it. Why they got to have an open dome in the cold? So anyway, I don't get that. But Gilbert had a bad start. I shouldn't say a bad start. It's a game score of 51. That's kind of an average start, but he's a game score 56, 57 guy. So he hasn't had an outlier, high or low. It could go either way, but I would expect it to be a little better than not. And Fried had a great start. Well, I would expect this to be a more average start, which is still a 58 for him. So it's still a good outing. So I think he's more hittable tonight. I think Logan Gilbert has a good game. I think if I were going to actually bet it, I said this yesterday, I liked Seattle. I kind of like Seattle again today, even though it's Fried. But I don't think the value's there. It's a coin flip game, right? It comes down to did Darren Judge hit a home run? Did Cal Raleigh hit a home run? Whoever hits a home run wins the game, kind of thing. And Jeff mentioned this game, Casey Mize and Fott. I think they're the same pitcher, to be honest. So the home team has the edge, but not by very much. I think if you look at overall records, Detroit's going to be better, but that kind of evens things out. I think it's a coin flip game. My handicap on this game, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of wrapping this up, but it's not going to be that high. And then you have Bybee and Ohtani, and I kind of mentioned this before. I think Bybee, is undervalued here, and maybe it's not even Bybee as much as it's Cleveland. I think you're paying a tax on the Dodgers, and Jeff said you're paying a tax on Ohtani. My number in this game, by the way, if I go look at it real quick, my number is Dodgers minus 200, minus 202, and I think they're all the way out to 260 or something. So you're paying extra to pay on the Dodgers. And Jeff said, well, everybody's going to bet the run line minus whatever it is. There's no value there unless you're going to score a ton of runs, and maybe you do. But I will say, Bybee, he threw a game score 35. He's going to be better. He's not going to throw a game score 35 tonight. So he's going to be at least average or more. And that keeps the Dodgers in line. So I would be very careful there. So anyway, just as a recap, my three plays, I'm doing Texas first 5 on the money line. I'm doing Pittsburgh game with Bubba Chandler, and I'm doing a step out here a little bit with San Francisco.
Great slate, great breakdown. I love the fact again. it has to be said, especially in baseball. You notice it more. Teams not hitting. Who on their bingo card had what? The White Sox, the Rockies, and the Nationals combined last night, scoring almost 30 runs. No one. The Athletics that can hit out of a paper bag right now. The Red Sox. But the winning streaks is really what I want to emphasize, and that's how we're wired. That's how we're wired, guys. Is the fact, well, this team has lost 4 in a row, therefore it can't lose 5 in a row. Bullshit, it can't. They can lose, as you said, 10 in a row. But we want to hold that golden ticket. We want to be the one. I stopped the streak. It doesn't work that way. Famous betting, gambling, I hate to use that word, wagering, investing, profit, I guess is. A team wins 10 in a row and loses, bet against them to lose the next one. And it's always after a long winning streak, they lose again. Well, what's the number? Well, it varies. I'm saying 6-7 games is a decent winning or losing streak. A team loses 7 in a row. They finally win. Go back and play them again because they usually win back-to-backs. There. Seattle, I don't know what's going on. I do know Josh Naylor is 0 for 19. Cal Riley finally got a walk-off. It wasn't a homer. It's crazy. Where tomorrow will be the first full week. I mean, they opened up Wednesday night, Yankees in San Francisco. So today's the last day of the first official week. And again, it's traction. What's working? What's not working? Last night for me, I thought I went after 2 good spots against pitchers that I didn't like. One was Bryce Elder. I mean, I'm just sitting there Monday night bowling night here, and I'm just like, I'm looking into I said, this can't be right. No, this can't be right. No, and this is Bryce Elder here. And the Red Sox the same way. I knew I was in trouble when McCullers struck 5 of the first 6 guys out. And so, again, when I play the team totals, obviously we're looking for runs, guys. Scotty and Logan Webb tonight. Here's a funny for you. Team total first 5 for San Fran is 2.5 juice minus 156 to the under. If you think San Fran can get 3 runs in the first 5, they're giving you plus 136 there alone. So if you're going to bet a unit on San Fran in the first 5, I tell you to put a half a unit on the money line and then take a swing, no pun intended, on the plus 136 for them to get to 3 or better, because Scotty said they have great success against us. And we're investing in a pitcher to bounce back, number one, a team that just finally won, that you're looking to win again. The caveat is for their bats to wake up. And it's the perfect storm here, Scotty. I don't know how I'm going to get into that game. I'm going to get into it. But again, pick your spots. Pick your spots. As I started in the opener, the Red Sox haven't been home. The A's haven't been home. I'm not going back into either one of their team totals. And listen, guys, they'll probably each go put up touchdowns today. I get it. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to be early to the party. I just thought I was in perfect spots to start the party, Scotty.
Yeah, one of the things that was nice to hear was before the show, I'm out getting cigars and coming back, and I got MLB radio on, right? The XM radio's in my car. So I'm listening to that, and they were talking to Vitello, the manager of the Giants, and, about, okay, well, you won your first game, blah, blah. And he goes, what's best about the winning the first game? I want to give credit to the guys that deserve to get credits for the win. But he said, what's better is if we win tomorrow, we can win the series. And I thought, that's how you think about stuff, man. Go win tomorrow because you're in a good spot with your best pitcher against their worst pitcher. Go win tomorrow. And that made me feel like, he's going to do anything and everything he can do to win that game. Because it's not about just one game. It's about how many series can you win. And he's going to apply it that way. And I thought that was great. That doesn't mean they will, but I thought that was a great frame of mind for him to be in. To sit there and go, yeah, I want to give credit to the guys that won today and blah, blah, blah. I won my first game, blah, blah, blah. But, if we win tomorrow, we're set up to do so. We're going to win this series. And I was like, oh, that boy, that way to go. You know what I mean? That's how you do baseball. You got to get things right. You got to get stuff through your, thought processes correctly. And anyway, it is what it is. I thought it was outstanding.
Tomorrow, April Fools. We turn the page on March. We get to April. Scotty, we got a full slate, and here's baseball being baseball. Back in the days when we had hair and they weren't gray, Thursday was always travel day. Well, nowadays in today's MLB, it's Wednesday and Thursday. We got Braves Athletics at 12:15, Rangers Orioles at 12:35, Pirates and Reds at 12:40. If I think tomorrow's Paul Skeens Day, I would guess there. 105 Washington Phillies, 107 Rockies Blue Jays, 110 White Sox Marlins, 115 Mets Cardinals, 140 Rays Brewers. My point is, it is all front loaded. Then we got 2 games at 2:10. We got a 3:40, 2 games at 4:10, 2 night games, Twins Royals at 7:40, and Guardians Dodgers. So we're going to talk this out live again. Again, you got a lot of work to do from last night's data. So I don't want to run and do a show because we're trying to get it in before first pitch. I'd be more comfortable saying, hey, guys, if you want any potential first pitch information, this is what I had. I want you to be comfortable here and give us a timeline where you think we'd be comfortable to start tomorrow's show.
I'll say this. Because the data process right this second isn't the most demanding for me. I can be done and ready by noon, 12:30 at the latest.
All right. So again, there's a couple games there. Athletics, Braves, Rangers, Orioles, 12:15, 12:35, Pirates, Reds at 12:40, and then the 105 starts. I guess I'll verbalize. I'm going to verbalize this out loud. What's that?
Let's shoot for noon if you want to do noon.
Well, I don't want to force the issue. That's my point. Because the reason I'm talking this out loud to you, I would assume, and it wasn't all his fault, Mr. O'Neill Cruz, 2 blunders, that if you are that high on Logan Webb, I would just imagine, and I don't know who's starting for the Reds. I assume they're ace too.
Abbott.
Yeah. So again, top of my head,
really well.
Yeah. So again, I can see your eyes already lighting up here. So
that's the difference, right? Sometimes you're gonna have to figure out how to get into these games. Skeens will be favored tomorrow, but how much? Probably too much. So then you sit there and go, well, am I going to play a total? Am I going to play a run line? Am I going to play this? Or do you just pass? Or do you sit there and go, he's going to throw a no hitter tomorrow? You bet that. Whatever. It is what it is. It's hard to figure out how you're going to get into some of these games sometimes because you can sit here and say, hey, this is going to be great and this guy's going to pitch well. But I'll be honest and say none of that matters except for the price, because if the price is too much, you still can't pay it.
I'm trying to do something here live. I don't know if it's going to let me. Hold on 1 second. Huh. I can't get in there. I was trying to sneak a peek. I sometimes have some opening odds there. All right, so I'm going to verbalize it out loud. We'll be here live tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Check our timelines if something changes there. We got a full slate of day baseball. So bring your lunch, bring your chair, bring your scorecards, your Cracker Jacks, popcorn, and peanuts, and get ready for some day baseball.
Theoretically, tomorrow every pitcher is going to have pitch, so we'll have a lot of game score stuff to work off of tomorrow.
Okay. Can't thank you guys enough. Great crowd here as well. Tomorrow, high noon, check my timeline at EC Sports Invest, of course, there. And then when I always close here, and I just want to make sure I will say this correctly. Give me a second here. Go follow Scotty, of course, at Webby20MLB on X. Go join his Substack, substack.com at Webby20MLB. Closing thought?
I don't think people know how to get into the Substack too much. So the best way I can tell you is just go to my, on Twitter. You guys are watching me on Twitter mostly anyway. Just click on me, right? Webby20MLB. And then, with my profile, there's a link right in the profile. Just click that. It'll go right to the Substack. Yeah, and then sign into it, for free, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And when I post this stuff, it comes to your email. So you can hear me talk, you can ask questions if stuff comes up, and then you can go, oh yeah, look, he's referencing this that he had in his thing today. Because we do these shows, and there's 14 people in the Substack right now. I've only had it for a month and a half maybe, but theoretically we get 100 people watching this show. Theoretically 100 people should click the damn thing and have, it's kind of like reading a book out loud. Here it is, here's the stuff, we can go, and then you can ask questions on anything else you want. And that's the other part. I know things will grow and things will get better, and I go over a lot of the games. But if you want to know, like somebody asked about the Royals the other day, I am full on capable of answering any and talking my thoughts on any of these games, whether that helps you or hurts you in your choice to make bets. That's what I'm here to try to do, is either prevent you from spending stupid money or helping you get your good money spent right. So ask the right questions, get into the Substack, get the data, because it's there. You can see it yourself, and then you can go from there. Anyway, that's just my last couple thoughts.
Guys, enjoy the rest of the afternoon. We'll be back at high noon, full slate tomorrow. Enjoy the baseball. Please do yourself a favor. An early Easter gift to yourselves. Head on over to substack.com. Go join Webby at Webby20MLB. I'm telling you, if you're enjoying the shows, because we're getting 100 people just live on Twitter after they spin and they watch and they review whatever. We're getting a couple hundred per. This is free. Then you're going to put 2 and 2. Now I see it. He's giving you the crib notes. We're just verbalizing it out loud. That's all. So listen, guys, have a great, great day. Enjoy yourselves. Behave. Thank you guys so much. And stay tuned.